Recently, I had to make a good luck card, and so I thought I'd share what I made, which is this four-leaf clover to put on the front of a card. And you might also like to know how to make it to make your own, or make it as a pendant, or earrings, or whatever, or for keyring perhaps. So I'm using 0.8 of a millimeter wire, so that's 20 gauge, and it's silver plated. So we're going to start with just making a spiral right at the beginning. I always find if I start at that point, I've got something to hold on to. So just make a tiny little circle and then coil the wire around that. So grip it and just keep creating spirals around the circle you've created. Obviously the size of it will be dependent on the size of the clover you're going to make. So make it about a centimetre at least, because that's going to hide all your workings in the middle of the leaf. And then we're going to make the leaves. So I use this bail making pliers, but you could use a pen or something just to make the shape. And then I just give it a kink to create the other side of the leaf shape, which is like a heart. So that just gives me the shaping tool that to create 4 of these. And then where the wire crosses over the base, that is the start of the next leaf. So you're going to keep crossing over that center point. So you just make the side bend up to create the sort of center kink on the leaf or the heart motif, and then bring it across the center again, ready to start the next leaf. So it's just one continuous piece of wire, and I'm working from a spool because I don't really know how much I'm going to need, so it's better just to work directly from a spool. So keep doing that to shape each of these leaves. And as I say, you can scale this up or scale it down. And now for the last leaf coming up. I know this isn't, perfectly symmetrical rather, but in my mind it's a leaf, and can be a bit organic and natural. So don't worry too much about getting perfection. I mean, if you wanted perfection, you could make it around a jig. So there we have the basic framework, and now I leave a good long tail. I think possibly about 5 inches or so, something like that. If I just get my ruler, I can tell you exactly how much I've left. Yeah, just under 4.5, 5 inches. And that is going to be for the stalk. So at this point, it's still quite wobbly. So what I tend to do is get a little bit of 0.4 millimeter wire, and I'm just going to use that to bind all the central part of the leaf together. So this is really just going to be hidden behind that spiral. So if you go in and out and around, that will just hold everything together, because otherwise it's going to easily distort. So just a tiny bit of binding wire. It's a bit like sewing really, and stitching it in place. Just use that. Don't overdo it because you don't want it too bulky, but just sort of go in and out. It doesn't have to be, beautifully neat, because it's all going to be hidden. So as you can see, there's no fast rules to this. It's just keep going around until you can feel everything is sort of secure and not going to move around. And when you get the 2 tail ends, you can just twist them together. That will secure them in one place at the back. And you can trim off some excess wire and then just spiral it and fold it to the back of the piece. that's going to hide behind the spiral at the front. So just flatten that down. So that's the bit now held in place. So what we want to do is give a little bit of work hardening to the leaves, because everything always looks better when it's hammered, but it also gives it more structure and shape, and work hardens it. So just the ends, just the rounded parts of those leaves. Don't hammer anything else, and certainly avoid the extended wire stem. So that just flattens and strengthens the framework. So now we're going to do the little stem. I mean, obviously you could just have it like that and spiral the end, and that can be it. But I tend to sort of double it up. So I decide on the length, then bend and sort of make a rounded kink, so it's not just completely straight. And then you want to bring the wire back up towards the leaf so that it's running parallel as a stem to the first wire. So there you have it. And then to secure that, you want to just bring it round over to the front underneath the spiral, just to hide it under there, and then bring it back to the other side, to the back of the leaf, and then whatever you've got left, you can turn it into another little spiral and flatten it at the back. And that's quite good because that will hide any workings and messy wires as well. So just bring that around and flatten it at the back of the piece behind the big spiral. So there's your stem, and you can hammer that to work harden it. As I say, if you didn't want to do this doubled stem, you could always just create a nice big swirly spiral as well at the end. So now just flatten everything down, make sure you're ready to do your beading, and get the spiral well in the center. So there's your framework, and I often like to weave the stem. This is 0.3 millimeter wire. Any thin wire. This is a green wire. I mean, you could do it with silver. Can be used to weave and fill that stem area, the space in between. I haven't actually left myself much space in this one. I've sort of made it quite fine at the top, so I'm sort of just wrapping it round. And then all you need to do is secure it round one side, then bring it across and secure it to the other side, then bring it across again, and keep repeating that, just to weave it backwards and forwards, like a sort of, like basket weaving, sort of, to fill in the space there. And it just is like colouring in, really. If you wanted to, you could, you don't have to use this, you could use little seed beads to fill that gap. Basically anything goes, but that's what I like to do, as you can see on this one. It's just woven backwards and forwards. So now I've done that, and I've actually woven the base because I had quite a lot there. We can bead the leaves. I'm using 0.4, but any fine wire will do again, and I'm using silver because the leaf is silver. And I'm going to put one wire, secure it, well, halfway through, secure the wire at the center so that it goes through to the center of one of the leaves and across through to the center of another leaf that's opposite. and that's where I'm going to do my beading. And then I'll do that with the other 2 leaves as well. So choose your, whatever beads you want to use. I'm obviously going for all the greens, and just wire that in until it reaches that indent at the top of the leaf, and just do one little turn around stitch at the top. That's all you need to do. You don't want to keep binding it there because it'll get bulky. And make sure you push down any of the wire at the end. So that's one leaf, and the other side of the wire comes through, and you do the same on the other side. So some of the leaves are, shorter than the others, so just use a seed bead and a slightly larger bead, because that way you might find you'll need more for some and less for others because they're longer or shorter. And we're nearly there, so we just need another wire now for the other 2 leaves. Again, if you didn't want to just put beads from the middle to the center, you could actually weave these leaves with the green wire. It's another way of doing it, or bead them with little seed beads. But I'm always a bit impatient, and I try to make things as simple as possible, and so I'm just going for this line of beads right at the center that just gives the sort of implies the greenery of the leaf. And we're really near the end now of the piece. Now, as I say, these little clovers are great to put onto greeting cards. If someone's, I don't know, going for a driving test or taking exams, or just a good luck little motif that can be secured onto a card. You can also create it as a necklace, earrings, and it's fun to put on a key ring as well. Just makes a nice little charm. So there we have it. Now, I often like to also glue a little flat back crystal to the center, but that's completely your choice. You might like the silver swirl, but use a bit of super glue and just put that at the center, just to add a bit more color. So have fun creating your own versions, and I just hope you've enjoyed the project. Many thanks for watching.